I was working with this young officer and we got called up to this house up here on the mountain. The call comes in on the computer and it says, this guy wants his wife taken to the psychiatric center. And he's just looking, the officers to give her a ride. And I was kind of like, man, that's your wife, that's your problem, man, you take her. But I felt like a dick when I got there because it was anything but. We get there, we knock on the door and this elderly man opens and he says, hey, my wife's been in the psych center for months. They've let her go and she needs to go back. And I'm afraid to put hands on her. So I don't want to fight her. I don't want her to fight back and I don't want to be accused of hurting my wife. We've been through enough. She starts telling me a little bit about her, right? And he says, well, she's upstairs and she's just been pacing up and down, back and forth, just pacing. And he goes, be careful where you step when you go up there because there's blood along the floor. So as we walk up the steps, there's these double doors and man, it's just like right out of the movies. There she is, she's straight back and she's just kind of taking that torque stance where she just tweets and her hair is just stringy and matted down. So I'm going, man, and she pops up, right? And she just starts walking towards us. I'm going like, oh, right towards me. And she beelines it right back to where she was started. And she's just going back and forth, dragging her feet. And she's like hyperventilating and her body's jerking. And I'm going like, what the fuck? And I get the officer I'm with starts talking to her and they're like facing each other. And this lady, she just looks at me. She just turns and looks at me, right? And she shallows her breathing and she's looking at me. And I'm going like, what's she doing, man? I felt like something in her was watching me. So right then, their son comes upstairs and he sees I'm engaged in this. He goes, hey, man. I'm like, what's up, dude? He goes, I'm a Christian rapper. And I'm going like, what? He goes, yeah, man, I drop beats for the Lord. And then right then, this old man comes up and he has something in his hand. And I'll get to that in a second. He has something in his hand. Kid does something. Red flag number 2. Kid takes a key out and he unlocks his bedroom door and a deadbolt. I'm going, who does that? Check this out. And he has this little machine. It says you can drop, I'm like, oh, okay, dude. He has his Bible and he sees I have tattoos. He goes, do you have to cover those up? Yeah, man. He goes, check this out. He shows that tattoo now. And it's this angelic, whatever this thing is, like a protector, a heavenly protector type thing, some religious thing. And he sees I'm watching this and I'm telling the officer, let's go. Let's get her going. The whole time she's engaged in me and the kid says something. I'll never forget this. This is real. This kid says, sir, I'm like, what's up, man? He goes, this is nothing. I'm like, what do you mean this is nothing? He goes, you should hear it at night. I go, what? I go, this is your mother. You refer to her as it? That's not my mom, bro. I don't know what that is. He goes, and that's why I locked my door. I went, fuck this. Right? We're like, until the officer, we got to take her. Well, then the old man standing there with that thing in his hand, he has a Rolodex, like 3x5 pictures that maybe your parents had, like a little album. He's flipping through it and he gets to this picture of this woman in the kitchen in that house. And that was her. And she's stunning. And I'm like, is this her? He goes, yeah. I go, what happened? He goes, we don't know. They don't know. I said, is she an addict? Is she on drugs? History of any of that? And we ended up, there's no dramatic, heroic ending. We ended up getting her to the psychiatric center. We gave her a ride. The breathing continued. Her demeanor continued. And we turned her over to the psych center. Her husband was there, walked her in, and that was the end of it. Don't know whatever happened. But it makes you wonder, like, what's going on? Like, for her own son to go lock it up, it all made sense. Just protecting himself, turning his life over to God, his talent for God, Bibles and tattoos of God, wow, man, this must really be affecting this guy, man. So, right. Oh yeah. I mean, is it just some mental illness? I don't know.